We have this idea that if we listen to more gurus, that if we read more books on spirituality, and if we listen to more intellectuals, that somehow this awakening will happen to us, and that all of a sudden we will be immersed in this unconditional bliss, where there would be no pain, no suffering, where everything would be completely sorted, perfect relationships, perfect job, no suffering at all. But so far, I have not found such a state. Because, you know, life does not alter its flow for a particular individual based on their actions. Life continues to flow. And the individual, the one that thinks it is separate from life, actually is not separate at all. In fact, the life is all there is. There is no individual. And life is all that is happening. So, the idea that there is this permanent state of unconditional bliss that would stick with us for eternity, that I have not found to be true in my experience. Even the other masters say that life is a constant cycle of pleasure and pain. Even the word self realization does not mean that you are adding on something. It is not addition of any knowledge. In fact, it is gradual removal of what is unreal, what you thought to be real. So, in words of Ramana Maharishi, he says, realization is not acquisition of anything new, nor is it a new faculty. It is only removal of all camouflage. So, see how many camouflages you have created. My personality, my life, my family, my work, my house, my property, my money. It's always I, me, mine. Our entire life revolves around these ego structures. What about me? What about my life? Why am I suffering? Who will take care of me? And these come up because of illusory identifications. Identifications with a profession, identifications with a culture, with a religion, with an organization. We never even sit down to question about the reality of these identifications. We just assume that they are real. And in that assumption, we create such deep attachments to these things that when things don't happen according to our worldview, we get upset, we get angry. And then we run after our gurus, our masters, or if we don't have anyone else, then we run towards a self-created image of a god, the all-merciful God, and then we pray to that image that why do you do so much harm to me? Why do you make my life so miserable, O Lord? Most of us are so afraid to look at ourselves. We are so scared of turning inwards. Most of us don't want to do it because it shows the ugly side. When you turn inwards, you discover the monster that has been created within. And liberation is not about fighting that monster. Liberation is simply about recognizing that monster for what it is. That monster is a piece of fiction. It does not exist. It is just a thought. It is a thought in consciousness. The reality is the consciousness, the screen of consciousness, and not the story that is being played on the screen. It's just like when you watch a movie, you get so immersed in the movie that you start feeling a deep connection with the characters. So if something, if some tragedy happens with one particular character, you start experiencing emotions. But then all of a sudden you realize that you're just watching a movie, that it's not real. And that's the way it is with self-realization. You just realize that this is just a movie. And what I perceive as me, myself, is also a character in the movie. There is no real me. It is just a thought in consciousness. So Ramana Maharishi says that, just like a fire in the movie, when you have a situation that there is a fire, it cannot burn the screen. Nothing happens to the screen. Therefore, your own nature, your own true nature is indestructible. Nothing can happen to the real you. It is only the false self, the illusory image, that experiences pain. The image is a piece of fiction. And I'll just read out one more passage by Ramana Maharishi. So he says, become conscious of being conscious. Say or think I am, and add nothing to it. Be aware of the stillness that follows the I am. Sense your presence, the naked, unveiled, unclothed beingness. It is untouched by young or old, rich or poor, good or bad, or any other attributes. It is the spacious womb of all creation, all form. So you see, the problem is that all our actions happen identified with the idea of right and wrong, good and bad. So we are always playing in this dualistic paradigm, attached to one polaric opposite. So when you do an action, if you think that it is your personal doing, that it is an action by this, individual, then you're always attached to an outcome, to a perception. Your action will always be in accordance with your idea of right and wrong. But when there is this realization that there is no individual, then all action becomes spontaneous. That means you start becoming more and more your authentic self. Then you don't have to pretend anymore. Then you don't have to conform to ideas. A very dangerous thing, I wouldn't say dangerous because it is also a happening, but talking in a relative context, a really dangerous thing is happening nowadays. I think it happened in the past also. But nowadays it has gathered momentum because of all the social media and connectivity we have. And the thing is that very young people are blindly following ideologies that they don't understand, that they don't have any experience about. A person can read a book from Karl Marx and become highly influenced, say a 20-year-old. They may understand everything. But you see, it becomes dangerous if there is no life experience backing it. Similarly, there are other ideologies as well, not just communism, but any form of ism, in fact, even spiritualism, ideologies related to awakening, enlightenment as well. If you if you carefully see that anything that you follow blindly without questioning and without experience, it leads to such a polarization. It leads to so much conflict, so much suffering. And the only relief comes when you start understanding that these are just layers of thoughts, one on top of the other. But thinking is not what you are. You are the ground, the substratum of all thinking. And that what Ramana Maharishi calls the beingness. So if that is understood, then these conflicts begin to dissolve, disappear. I'm not saying that abandon your ideologies or your views on other subjects, but everything has to be backed by personal experience. Otherwise, it's just like plowing a field and not sowing the seeds. You plow the field and you forget to sow the seeds, you will not get any reap. Now, it's really enjoyable to plow the field. So, listening to endless YouTube lectures, intellectuals, reading books, ideologies, scriptures, it is all very enjoyable. You will love it. But at the end of the day, whether you are integrated with that knowledge or not depends if you have lived that experience or not. Therefore, verify everything, including the idea of including the idea of self-realization. Show me the self. I want to see the self that wants realization. Where is that self? Bring it out and show. Examine it. Where is it? Let that be the search. But nothing should be followed blindly. Otherwise, it's all darkness. The light is only the beingness. Investigate it. Let your mind be still and see that light of beingness and see the unconditional love it offers. Verify it with your own personal experience.